Hello, everybody. Welcome to this month's in session. I am Kristen, aka Water, and I am going to welcome you to In Session Production 101 with Kariz Marcel. So, Kariz is going to take us through the basics of production, producing a song from start to finish, and I cannot wait personally, and it's going to be so exciting. So, here we go. Kariz is the founder of Blakwater House, which is located in downtown Baltimore, Maryland, my hometown. Shout out to Baltimore. He has a diverse East Coast upbringing, along with Panamanian roots, whose path is dedicated to the creative exchange and infinite search for meaningful connections through the African diaspora. It is his ultimate goal to use his skills in program design and music production to build a local global music company that is responsible for building infrastructures around indie artists while utilizing Blakwater House as the hub for development, practice, and social exchange. So you can hear Kariz's production work on Sony Wonderland recording artist Jidenna's 2019 release of 85 to Africa. The song is called Sou Sou. Definitely check that out. Has over 7 million streams on Spotify. And today, Kariz and his business partner and wife are spearheading the 2022 launch of Blakwater World, which is a combination of retail, events, and creative services offered to members of Blakwater House. So if you're already excited, I know you're excited now. So please join me in welcoming Kariz Marcel. And just a bit before we dive in, Kariz is going to cover the ins and outs of production for the first 45 minutes of our discussion, and then we'll leave some time at the end for open Q&A. What's going on, Kariz? So excited to have you.
What's up?
This is going to be incredible.
Yes, I'm so ready. I'm excited, and to just to get it going and chop some samples and make something for somebody.
Yes, awesome. So before I let you take it away, a few housekeeping items to cover. This is a supportive and uplifting space, so we want to keep the dialogue in the chat respectful as we get into the discussion. And also, please feel free to use the chat. We already dropped in there to let us know where you're tuning in from, what you're vibing out with, anything like that. But be sure to change that little blue bar to everyone so we can see those comments. Also, if you have any questions, like I said, we're going to try to answer those at the end of the webinar. So there is a Q&A function at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Go ahead and click that button to submit your questions. We just don't want it to get lost in the chat. So make sure to put it in the Q&A section. And then also you're going to get a automatic survey at the end to let us know if there are any other topics that you would like covered for in session and how you enjoyed today's webinar. So without further ado, I'm going to get out the way. I'm going to get my pen and pad ready to take some notes because it's going to be incredible. So ladies and gentlemen, Kariz Marcel.
I need like a sound effect thing, but it's all good. Everybody, hi, greetings. Great introduction. Thank you. Not much for me to say outside of what you said. That really kind of covers my purpose and reason behind making music and being a noise maker. So yeah, today I kind of walk you through my personal process and how a lot of these records are made on my end. It's some folks might consider a little non-traditional, but I like to play with people. I like to work with human beings in the studio. So that's really where my inspiration is. My career kind of started with sampling records and kind of getting old vinyl records and chopping them up on drum machines and, the classic hip hop way of doing things like a DJ Premier or some of those old school guys, even Kanye in his early days. Like that's how music was done. So I fell in love with the art of just chopping up sounds. But, with the sample laws and a lot of things that come along with the legalities of sampling other published material, I basically had to create the music I wanted to sample. And I started doing that some time ago. And I started doing these things, these events every month called sample sessions. And sample sessions is when I invite a bunch of friends over to the studio. And I track everybody up and I run them through my boards. And then we just play for 4 hours or so. I kind of play references. They play on top of it and they leave. And I'm stuck with a 2-hour Pro 2 session of music. And I take those pieces and that's how I create my loops from those actual sessions. So, if it's a Motown song, I probably wouldn't necessarily always sample it unless I was asked to sample the actual song. But what I would do is just put the band together, and we would kind of like use it as inspiration and develop a vibe of that. And then we would sample that, you know, even though it definitely wouldn't be the original, and kind of just, you know, keeps the paperwork easy. So what I'm going to do is just kind of walk y'all through this process. First, I'm going to show you guys some little video clips of what the sample session is like. And it's a little like organized confusion, but yeah, that's the, you know, I'm gonna show a clip of that. Then we're going to go into a piece of audio recorded from that sample session. And then we're going to listen to that in several different ways. And then we're going to take that and destroy it. And we're going to sample a piece of it. We're going to chop it up, and we're going to completely destroy it, slow it down, whatever we end up doing to make it fit into the tempo of the music, of the beat. And we're going to lay some drums on it. And then by the end of that, the probably class would be over. You know, if we had another hour, then I'll invite an artist in and y'all can see us record the song. But that's normally the next step from what we're about to do right now, which is just what I call skeleton production. So this is like a full scale production. This is something good enough for somebody to write to. I make a lot of music for writers to write to. So I try to keep it skeletons. So it's not a lot of music, not a lot of things in it, so they can kind of hear themselves within the music. So that's what we're going to start off at. So first thing I'm gonna do is share my screen and let you guys check out a little bit of footage of what a sample session is. Since I don't have the whole crew here, I can kind of show you guys a piece of it. So let's do that in first. Okay. Do you see brown? I want to make sure I'm sharing the right screen here. It looks like it's right. Okay. So we pretty much go on. And I'm yelling out inspirations. I'm saying, you know, go up a key, take it down, or, you know, I try to even sign with some of them and trying to drive this experimental improvisational experience into focus. And a lot of times I just let them go and they find a pocket and I'm like, oh, this is nice. Like, stay right there. And I'll tell them, like, stay where you're at. And that's what, and I look, most of the time I look what I call look for the record. I look for the song. I look for like, oh, that'd be a great song. Just that 2-bar loop can be a great song or whatever. And I look for that. So when I'm in the room with these musicians, I'm listening for that loop. I'm listening for that groove. And when I find it, I tell them to chill. And we normally stay in that groove for 4 to 5 minutes before it kind of evolves into completely something else. So after an hour, 2 hours of this, we're ended up with hundreds of clips and things like that. So that's that part. So now I'm going to actually play the file from the session that you guys are looking at right now. And we're going to look at the actual session of the Pro Tools session of the audio that was recorded. And these sample sessions are not recorded perfectly, right? They're like old school, throw a couple mics in the room, but then I do bring in the line inputs for your bass, your guitar, and your keys. But a lot of times with the percussions and stuff, it's just in the air, and they make for like really cool loops as well sometimes. So close this out here. And we're going to share my Pro Tools screen and see what's going on there, because that's the software normally where it ends up is in Pro Tools. Okay, no, not leave session. I don't want to leave the session. I want to share it. Okay. All right. So this is what we call the guts of the song. And it's really random. So I'm going to just start playing pieces of it. I do already kind of have stuff pre-chopped from this for you guys, but I'm going to kind of just show you like how I listen and that whole process. So beginning of this probably sounding really random. for people to kind of even understand what it is I'm doing. I invite people to a jam session, and then I have everybody pretty much, just play what they feel, and it kind of starts there until I start telling them what to do. Working with a lot of musicians in an improvisational setting is like psychology. You really can't give it too much direction sometimes. It's just like, all right, bass players start, keys start, and then just let them all kick in and groove in. So and this is some of the pieces from it. So for this particular session, we had a trumpet player, friend of mine's Brandon Woody, Troy Long on keys. A lot of different musicians come through. Whoever gets the text message, they normally they show up, but these are some mostly local musicians here that you're going to be hearing on these sample sessions. So So you can see I can solo out this trumpet and say if I would just want this trumpet. But then I'm gonna have it rejoin the band, bring the band back in. Okay, so now also the keys. I'm really loving the keys, the keyboard part in here. So I'm gonna solo that out and see what we're working with there. Okay, so that's some keys right there. And what I can do, I can say, I can sample this whole part, this whole loop right here. Let's play it like with all of the music together, see how it sounds on that keyboard part. Like the dun, 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 dun. And that's what I'm just really just looking for a piece that like makes sense for how I'm feeling at the moment, right? So I like the horn part right here. I like the relationship between the horn and the keys in this one section. So I'm gonna just solo out the keys and the trumpet alone, taking out the bass and some of the other synth sounds and stuff like that. And I'm just gonna pay attention to the trumpet and the keys alone right now. Okay, so now I'm going to what we do. I'm not, of course, not sure of the how informative you guys are on music tech terminology, but I'm going to kind of break down as I'm moving what it is. So now I'm gonna export the clip right out of this big session because I don't normally make my beats in Pro Tools, and that's what we're looking at right now. I make my beats most of the time in a software called Akai. So I'm going to just export my sounds that I like out of this sample session, and I'm going to drop it into my Kai drum machine. But before I do that, I'm gonna keep playing a little bit more, and I'm gonna look for like some other clips and maybe some percussion or something like that that I might want to sample. So we're going to make a little mark right here, and cool. I'm put a little marker there. And now that's going to let me know that, all right, this is that little green area is I touched that. And that's I know to come back to the beginning of that green. So let's listen to some more pieces here. It looks like over here, we got some clips already made. I might want to hear the bass with this. Okay. I think it's stopped on me. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna now, let me see here, play the bass line with that. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. So let's just do bass and keys. We can always bring the trumpet in. Remember, I'm writing for a skeleton, so this is technically for somebody to write to. Horns are great. Horns sometimes can be distracting for the writer. It just depends on what part of the song you're writing for. But I'm going to strip it down. As you can see, this process, I'm decisive, like I know what I'm going to do because I went through this before class, but there's also still this improvisational thing that happens in music. And it's like, you know, you can be completely glued to an idea and then it's like, nah, screw it. We're going to try something else. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm literally like, okay, we're going to see what another part of the song sounds like. All right, so keys. Let's bring the trumpet back in. Oh, hold on. What was that at the end? See, sometimes it's you never know, you know, you never know. Sample sessions are crazy. Like you can be listening to a clip and then randomly somebody finds a groove and it's like, no, that's the part we want to sample. So I am actually about to just go right here and listen to these three sections here, which is the keys, the bass, and the trumpet. All right. So let's focus on this section here. Okay, so This might be a cool loop right here. Okay. I'm going to find a loop that I like. And the goal today is really just, we're kind of going to do loop bass. And a lot of times some producers might hear the words loop pack. People actually sell these things. I haven't gotten into that market yet. People have been trying to get me into it, but people go through this and they make these loop packs to make your process easier in production. Right now, we're making our own loop pack for our own beat. So let's see how this loop sounds right here. Okay, put this on loop mode. It reminds me, like I'm not a singer, y'all, and I sometimes sing along with it, but it helps me find the record. Once again, I'm always about finding the record. Never seen a pipe on the campo. Never seen a love for me, hard love. I don't got gaps, anybody go. Never seen a bounce on the custards. Never seen a bounce and never seen a change on the love. My love is going on. My love found out the cycle. Got me going crazy, I'm a psycho. Never seen a love for my iPhone. Treat you like a book, girl, when I fold. It's like now. So, anyways, that's kind of like the process of me finding records. So I'm agreeing with this. I'm good with this. I think an artist would like to write to this, if not myself, and give it to somebody else to sing, whatever. All right. So first thing I'm gonna do, this is the process here. This is when we get into the production process outside of just selecting the sound. So I'm gonna take these 3 sounds here. I'm going to export them out of Pro Tools because I love these sounds. I want to work with these. And we're going to export it out of Pro Tools, and we're going to put this into our MPC Akai software. All right, export. Okay, now I'm gonna just close out Pro Tools for now because we don't really need that anymore. We're done with Pro Tools. Occasionally I will go back for stuff to see if it's like a percussion or something else in there that I could use. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is close that out for now. Too many windows open. Okay, all right, so now I'm gonna share my MPC screen with you. What we got here? Bang. Now, this is the MPC screen. So first thing first, what I do with this is I'm going to find some empty pads for us to like drag and drop our new samples in. That's the first step. We want to be able to have access to these sounds. And that's the first step I'm going to do is, let me try to minimize this screen, y'all. Give me a second with this. Yeah, so, boom, okay. All right. Okay, so I want to go back to my samples and I'm gonna drag them over to these pads and drop them in. That was the trumpet sample, if you guys remember that. That's our keys. And then we have our bass, which is sometimes hard to hear over this operation here, but all right. Okay. All right. So now, let me close this out. Why is this coming up? Don't need that window. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is set my tempo. So I'm gonna tap it out. And that's normally just kind of how I feel like it should work. So I'll play the sample. Okay, so it's around maybe 90 beats per minute. Let's see. Let's see how we feel about that. Okay. So what we want to do is take this down a bit. It's a quick loop, y'all. It's a really quick loop. So the goal really is just, I'm about fast. I'm about like, yeah, can we get this going? Can we just get it going? I'm gonna slow the tempo down until the loop gets perfect. All right. Well, I was way off from 90. Speed it up. Speed it up a little bit. And this is all snapping it into the grid. As you can see, these lines here, that's considered a grid. We want to make sure we're on a solid number, like 79. Let's just see what it gives us a good 79. Let's just see what happens here. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so that was our keys. So I'm going to label this track keys. I like to label stuff as I go because, you can keep working and before you know it, you are in La La Land and you don't know what is what. So the next track, we're going to layer with that. We're going to go to our bass. Do the bass next. All right. So I'm going to hit record here and just bring in the bass. Bass. And listen to the song. It's like once I get a groove, if we had more than an hour, I would have sampled a lot more pieces than this because I like for changes. So this is a loop. I normally look for like 3 changes. So I got my main loop, which is the song. Then I might look for another loop in the sample that's like a bridge or something, and then another part that could be an intro or a chorus or an outro. But right now, like I said, we're just going to focus on like this verse, what I would consider the verse section of the song. Cool. So now we got the bass there. We're going to label that track. Bass. All about that bass. All right, boom. Now we're going to go to the next sound, which I believe is the trumpet. And what's interesting about this sample, you can hear the room, right? So it's not like perfectly singled out. We did this in an open room. This was we didn't do it in a booth and things like this. So it was like an open room when we did this particular sample session. So the trumpet was like behind a wall inside of the room. So you still hear a little bit of the background, but I like that. I like dirty recording sometimes. It just gives it character. And that's kind of like my approach to production. It's like mistakes, whatever. Like there's no mistake, and that's versus like a higher job. Somebody needs to hire me to record a live band. I'll totally follow the book with that and separate everything perfectly. But when I'm just going to it from a production standpoint, I don't need everything to be super clean. I like to hear that background noise sometimes. So we're going to go ahead and just record this trumpet. Okay. So now we're going to go to trumpet. Label it trumpet. And then save because I don't want anything to happen to this. So I'm going to hit save. And also, there's also autosave. I definitely recommend autosave. I just installed this software on this computer, so I don't have autosave set up yet, but definitely do autosave. I mean, come on. The next big hit record can just end up a memory in your mind. But luckily, like I said, working with samples and stuff, it's easy for me to go back to the original source if anything does happen. All right, so I'm feeling like I want to get into the chopping side of my production. So we chopped the sample session up, and we uploaded sounds to the MPC drum sampler, but now I'm about to take those sounds and chop them down to even more, and that'll give me more control over the sounds and in total. So we have a loop sequence, and I'm using the word sequence in reference to a Kai language. We call it sequence when it's just like a loop of music, referred to as a sequence. And then you can have another sequence, and that sequence could be the chorus, and another sequence could be the bridge, and so on and so on. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to chop up the piano a little bit more. So let's see what that's about. Okay. All right, I'm here to play this again. Okay. All right. Still listening for the song. You know, I'm always like, even though most of the time I'm not the one writing the lyrics, I'm always listening for it. So that part. Okay. Man, hear it again. Okay. I'm going to I want to normalize the sound to make it louder. Whoa, that's too loud for y'all. Yeah, that's better for me. All right, I'm gonna save that. So the cool thing about the MPC is built for sampling, right? So I can chop it based on the BPM of the song. So here we got 16 pads, 16 chops. That's what I just did. It could be 4 chops, 3 chops, 2 chops, whatever. But I just jumped it to 16. It gives me a lot of ability to. And that is kind of when I refer to the art of sampling. Like a lot of times, a lot of people, oh, you sampling, you know, they taking from something, you know, you play the music, you know. This is my style of being, my way of being a musician, you know, and saying, you know what, you can actually be as a musician as a sampler. Like it's just the way you do it. Everything is not about just making a loop and throwing it in. And personally, I always destruct loops and leave them in maybe for an intro and the chorus, but most of the songs sometimes I'm just messing with it. All right. So I'm going to create a new program with this bank of music right here. And that would allow me to put this inside of our production. But I'm not going to add it just yet. I'm going to put the drums on it first. I want to get a groove. And then I'm gonna go back to the chops. So we're going to find like a little drum loop or just make a drum beat and to add to our current loop. And I'm going to go ahead and normalize the rest of these sounds I have in this beat. When I say normalize, this is like make the sounds louder. Because I pulled it right out of Pro Tools, they weren't like mixed and mastered perfectly sounds. They're just literally right out the session, so they're a little raw. That's all good though. All right, so we're gonna go back to our main screen here. Okay, and we're going to raise the volume on the rest of our instruments. And that's called normalize. So we're going to normalize this horn. You know what? I think I'm gonna chop the horn too, because I'm like, dun, 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 okay. Got about 20 minutes left, so let's speed this up. Then we're not gonna chop the horn. We're gonna leave it as is. But if this was like, if I had more time, I'd probably get even a little bit more detail with that horn. All right, so we're going to actually normalize the bass. That's the last instrument that we sampled. So we're going to normalize the bass and make sure that volume is up and nice and loud. You dig? Sample edit. Normalize this bass. Get that bass popping. We love bass. Main screen. Save. Save. Okay. Now, I think we still have our loop there. Yeah, that horn really works dope as like a chorus line or something like that. All right, so we're gonna go back and now it's time to add our drums. Go to an empty track here on the MPC. I'm gonna go to my drum program, which is how this thing is kind of set up. Different programs you can select. Here's some drums here. Okay. These are also drums from one of my packs as well. Okay, that's a drum break, but if this would slow down kind of fast, y'all. All right, whatever. Let's see if we can stretch this down. So the tempo is oh, okay. So right. All right, so that's my buddy, my man Jay Funk on those drums right there. Like I said, these are all Baltimore musicians you're hearing. Like I sample from the city all the time. All right, and now I'm going to, what am I going to do? Yeah, we are going to change this a bit. Let me see here. Yep, okay. Time stretch. Now this process is it's an old school terminology called time stretching. Back in the day, we had to do it on these little floppy disks, and it just took forever. But now, not so much. So we have our original tempo of this drum beat is 121.42 beats per minute, but our beat is not that fast. Our beat is 79. So we're going to slow down this quick drum break all the way down. We're going to slow it down to 79 BPM to match our previously made loop. All right. So let's do that. And let's see how it sounds, y'all. Because sometimes I do this and it's phony, but we don't know until, you know what I mean? Until you do it. So. Hold on. Do it. Do it again. Do that again. Okay. All right. It's delete 79 beats per minute. Okay. Do it. Okay. That's something. All right. So what I'm going to do is chop this up a little bit more. Yeah, let's chop this up a little bit more, y'all. Well, I don't really need 16 chop this time. Let me see what the eighth. Okay, so chops. I'm just going to kind of create these little markers here because this is where I want my chops to start and end. So I want that part. Okay. Snare right here. Snare kick. Some more kicks and hi-hats here. Okay, another break right there. Ooh, I'm gonna keep that by itself. I might want to control that. All right, and then we're going to take our last clip. So we got 10 clips here. 10 clips. We're going to create a new program with these 10 clips. Let's go back to our sequence. All right. And now we are going to upload these clips and see what's up. Let me hit save real quick because I'm doing a lot of work and I'll be damned if it goes to beat heaven. All right. Let's out the J Funk on the drums. All right. So next step. Let's play this loop again, y'all. All right, so I'm gonna turn some volumes down here. I'm gonna go back to my first. Yeah, let's turn this down some. How do I get rid of this screen here? Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. We're going to turn this down some, y'all. Let me see. Okay. Go back to our drum track. I don't know. Killing some of y'all ears because I can't sing myself. My process, y'all. So now, remember we chopped up those keys like a million times? We're gonna go back to that now that we got our groove going. And we're gonna have open up another track for the keys. Let's call this Key Chop. We're gonna call this track Key Chop. Bang. Okay. And I think it's over here. Here we go. Okay, so let's add that now. Let's see how we can vibe with this. I'm gonna just freestyle something real quick. I'm gonna double up the sequence real quick. Okay, we almost there, y'all. We almost there. Okay, let me see if this works. Okay, so Okay. 2, 2, 3, 4. See what our trumpet sounds like back in it. So we're gonna play the whole sequence out for us in a second. Yeah. So hold on, we got 5 minutes. So that's enough for me to chop this horn. So I'm gonna go back to the horn, and because I'm hearing like this horn in a different rhythm. So I'm gonna go back to our horn trumpet track here. Okay, let's see if we can chop this up in a couple of pieces, y'all. Let me see. All right. 1, 2. There's 2 chops there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me see. Bam, bomb, bomb, and bomb. That's actually an interesting sound. You'd be surprised how far these little crazy sounds will go. All right, so we're gonna take it on back to the track. Take it back to the track, and I'm going to mute out this trumpet, and we're going to do another track. We're going to call this one Trumpet Chop. You know, the thing I like about production, it's like you hear words together that you would never hear together. And even the way people would describe music in the studio is crazy. People be like, yo, I needed to sound more like spaghetti and not a cheeseburger. And as a producer, you got to know what they talking about sometimes. You know, so I'm going to call this Trumpet Chop. You know, normally when you say the words trumpet chop to somebody, you might not know what you're talking about. You might be talking about like, you know, some, you know, pork in a saxophone or something, if all I know, right? All right, anyways. So, bang, bang. We got the trumpet chop. Oh, that's not the trumpet chop. We're about to go to the trumpet chop. And we're going to chop that real quick, and we're going to be done. That's what's about to happen. All right, okay. Trumpet chop, trumpet chop. normally how I would use this, I would just take. I love this right here, right? Because this can go a long way in the world of production. Like just this sound alone, I would normally like, okay, let me take that, let me put some reverb on it, make it sound like it's in a hall effect. But technically, this is the process of producing a song. I got the melody. Now, if I'm singing a melody that's slick, like I was just doing, I would normally just open up my phone and record what I'm hearing, you know? And so I would just like literally just, while the idea is fresh in my mind, you know, and it's not fresh in my mind anymore. I don't remember the melody I was singing, but what I should have did was record it. And just in case somebody would want to use it, I have a reference for them. So let me see. Take that, and then I would send this beat to the artist, and they'll be like, yo, here's like an idea I have. Then I'll send them this crazy clip that I just did, and then they'll be like, oh, I think I got it, you know, I think I understand what you're trying to do. And then they'll take it and actually like write it all the way out in that melody, but they'll use the words they'll replace my melody with actual words. Never seen a thing this time it can't go. Yep, and you get that to a real person, real writer, real singer, you know, they can make it happen. I'm gonna wrap this up, y'all, before I go all the way over. It's just like, man, there's so many parts of this that I want to like get deeper into, but maybe next time, you know, and hopefully you guys, they can drop my Instagrams and my websites and all that stuff. And hey, even if you want to learn, I'll teach you personally. You know, I'm always open for doing private classes as well. This was fun.
Amazing. Y'all give it up for Kariz Marcel. Feel free to drop some love in the chat. I've been seeing so much love. I don't know. I'm sure you were like in your zone and doing, you know, all of the incredible things that we were watching you do. But they were like really vibing out in the chat. Somebody even like wrote a bit of a hook.
A word? Oh, we got words?
Yes.
Okay. Man.
But we have two questions that came through while you were presenting. So if you have some time, we'll try to answer those two. Is that cool?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get it.
Awesome. If you guys can stay on, feel free to stay on. We have a couple of questions. So we have a question from Calvin that asks, how did you discover your preferred workflow as a music producer / sampler?
Oh, whew. You know, I discovered it through, I'm trying to think what happened. Okay. I did a record for G Unit Records and Interscope. This artist named Kid and featuring Juvenile. The song, man, when did we do this? 2012, 13, something like that. It's on YouTube. It's called New Orleans. W-A-R Leans. New Orleans. They got a music video and all that. So anyways, produced this song, and there was a Bobby Womack sample in it, and they wanted to keep it, right? They was like, oh, we're gonna rock with it. But then they was like, yo, we want to can you redo it? Like, in the proper term is interpolate. Can you interpolate this sample, redo it? So I brought in a bunch of musicians to redo this Bobby Womack sample and then replace this actual sample with the musicians. And then that kind of like turned into a thing. You know, and I started to just randomly invite musicians to my house. And that from 2012 on up, I was always recording live instrumentation. I was kind of like, I always had like a love for that since I was like 2003 or so. I started really loving live music. I produced a music for a play by a woman by the name was Joyce J. Scott, Walk a Mile in My Drawers. And it was like all live music, live performance thing. And then that kind of introduced me to live music. So that's what it started. I was like, oh, this is great. But then as far as when the business kicked in of like, oh, this is a transferable skill set. So I can take what I've done for this what I've learned in recording drums and guitar, and I can put that into becoming a service for companies that need interpolation or whatever. So in this case, it was interpolation. So I didn't get a fancy check. They didn't call me and say, hey, we have a budget here and Can you find a studio for me? And nah, it was like, as a producer, you got to eat that cost a lot of times. So I said, all right, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and just put a team together, and we're gonna redo this. So I brought in my keys, my buddy Kentrell Harris, and playing the keys over, and we started, we sent it back. And they were able to, I think, release it without, I don't know what's going on. I hear it. I think unless the mix engineer did a really good job, it still sounds like the sample. I don't know, but I was told it definitely was our interpolation. So maybe we did that good of a job, but I don't know. It sounds great. And that's where it started, the process. And then when I got into, when I got this facility here, that's when I started to like do, bringing people out and like doing it with like real intent, saying, all right, y'all, for these hours, we're just going to record whatever. And I would play like a Parliament record, Earth, Wind and Fire, or whatever song I'm feeling at that moment, and let the band start playing on top of it. And I literally fade out. So I'm literally sitting in the sample session most of the time with like like my DJ setup, and I'm playing records, and I'm like, yo, y'all play on top of this. And then I'll fade it out, and they'll keep playing, and it's like, but it turns into some amazing stuff. So that's kind of how I got to this point. It wasn't like overnight wake up like, yo, I want to ban a sample. Like, nah, I'm just trying to not give away all my publishing for real.
Yeah, and that sounds incredible. Like it sounds like such a fulfilling experience. Like sometimes you get like so isolated, producing when you don't have like other musicians around, but you created that atmosphere where you're consistently like feeding off of each other, which I'm sure always creates something really dope. I mean, we heard just a snippet of the dopeness. So absolutely. And then we have a question from Shaquan. Have you ever used Fruity Loops or FL Studios to make your beats?
I haven't, but my company is 4 producers, and 2 of the 4 producers, they are super FL Studio. That's what they do. We teach FL Studio classes. I mean, they do under our company, but like I love what FL has done to the culture. I mean, it's a stop, what you call a one-stop shop. We have a producer here that literally does everything. He bakes the beat, he records into it. God bless him. He does everything on it. But me personally, I've never got into FL Studio, which back in the day we called it Fruity Loops. And there's FL Studio was Fruity Loops, and nobody liked it back then. Like,
right.
It was like, if you using Fruity Loops, they're like, you don't even take you serious. Like, it was just like, Fruity Loops, like, because the sound engine was phony, it was whack. Like the music, the sounds that came with it was like, I don't want no Fruity. We used to literally call it, yo, that's a Fruity Loop beat. Like, it be like, you know what I mean? Even if it's not a Fruity Loop beat, it became a thing. Like, yeah, but now it's dope, and I love it, and it's a powerful, super powerful engine, if not one of the most powerful engines in DAWs outside of Ableton.
Wow, awesome. All right, do you have time for one more?
I'm with it. If y'all get with it.
All right, we with it. All right. It's a question from Left that they ask, what is your plan for this beat, and how do they get an invite to the next session?
If you are local and you want to get down with the sample session world, we haven't really built a system with that yet, but the best way to do about it is like, all right, this is what I'm gonna recommend you do. Follow the Blakwater House Instagram page.
I dropped him in the chat, y'all.
Yes, just follow that page and follow me personally, Kariz Marcel, because then you can be like, yo, I'm the one from so and so, and then I can kind of like, because these are private invites, and then like my wife be scanning everybody and seeing you ain't like no crazy person and stuff. So
that's important for sure.
So we could try to create a safe space for creatives here at Blakwater House. So it's these sessions. Sometimes we make open calls, very rare, but most of the time it's very private. And but yeah, I would love to invite you out. It's not a problem. We are planning one for March right now, and it's normally no more than, it's a tight is 20 people. And then that's how it works. You get, and sometimes and 20 people, that's including the musicians. So you got to think about it, right? Like the best way to get into a sample session is to bring an instrument. I'm just, heads up.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kariz. This was incredible. I mean, everybody got so much from it and just enjoyed watching your flow. So we're just excited to be a part of this for sure.
No doubt.
Hey. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. And please keep in touch. We dropped Kariz's links in the chat. So connect with him. Our next in session is March 17th, which is focused on royalties. So be sure to keep in touch and get with us on that. And yeah, this has been In Session. Happy Black History Month, you all. I am Kristen, aka Like Water. It has been my absolute pleasure. And yeah, this has been In Session. Have a good one.